I'm sure it won't come as a surprise to any of you that Formula 1 drivers earn a lot of money. The sport has always had its rock stars, and some of the current drivers are carrying on that tradition thanks to their enormous salaries. But just how much do they earn? Let's find out. Sports salaries are always pretty ridiculous. Competitors are paid based on how popular the sport is normally. Having millions of people tune in to watch you play generates a lot of sponsorship money and revenue from ad deals. Normally, that money would be split over a whole league of 20-ish teams, all with a number of players. In Formula 1 though, all that ad money, the sponsorship deals and revenue sharing goes straight to the Formula 1 drivers' salaries. It isn't just the salaries that earn drivers money though, there are bonuses as well. These can be paid for literally anything: points scored, races without crashing, getting sponsors on TV, anything. Back in 2012, Lotus offered Kimi Räikkönen a $60,000 bonus for every point he scored, and over the next 2 years, he ended up scoring 390 points, including 13 podiums and 2 wins. This ended up costing them just over $23 million, and the team almost went bankrupt. Clearly, they didn't have very high expectations of themselves or Kimi. Finally, there is sponsorship money from personal sponsors. Lewis Hamilton, for example, has brands like Tag Heuer and Police as his sponsors. They pay the drivers to show off their products, basically. It is as easy as it sounds, but these can be incredibly lucrative if you have a big enough media presence. Okay, now you know where the money comes from, let's tell you where it ends up. These numbers are the most accurate available for a driver's salary. What they earn in bonuses is anyone's guess, and the brand deals, well, that's a dark secret we will never know. Starting off at the back of the grid, we have the Williams driver Nicholas Latifi and Alex Albon. Albon takes home $1,835,000 a year, almost double Latifi's $936,000 a year. Obviously, Alex's experience at Red Bull helped him negotiate a larger salary, but the fact he came in after Darlington Capital had taken over the team means they had more money to spend. In their 1 season together, Alex has proven to be worth the money, massively outperforming his teammate. Before we make our way through the rest of the grid and really start talking about the big earners, let me tell you about Established Titles, an incredible company that's preserving the natural woodlands of Scotland and helping with global reforestation. This amazing last-minute gift makes you the owner of 1 square foot of land in Edelston, Scotland, and Established Titles plants a tree with the global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. Saving the planet is obviously amazing, but this gift does something even better. There is an old Scottish tradition of calling landowners lairds, which is lord or lady to those of you who don't live in 15th century Scotland. By gifting someone land in Scotland, you give them the right to call themselves a lord or lady, and they get a certificate to prove it. You can add lord or lady to your credit card, plane tickets, or even your FIA super license. You do have one, don't you? The first 200 people who purchase a title pack using our link will get their plot pretty much directly next to mine. This isn't just an amazing last-minute gift, we could also start our own little Scottish kingdom. Established Titles is actually running a massive Black Friday sale right now. Plus, if you use the code F1Reverse, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/F1Reverse to get your gifts now and help support the channel. If you bought an Established Titles product with our code, let us know in the comments below so we can shout you out by your proper title. Next up, we have the Red Bull B team Alpha Tauri. From podium contenders to backmarkers, the team has been poor in 2022. Yuki Tsunoda's yearly earnings of $686,500 matched the team's current position, but Pierre Gasly's $4,576,000 is out of place at the team. His contract dates back a few years now. As a race winner and 3-time podium finisher though, he is worth the money and will likely earn something similar at Alpine in 2023. Following Alpha Tauri, we have the Haas F1 team, featuring Mick Schumacher and Kevin Magnussen. The young German earns $911,000 a year, which is good money for a rookie driver at a smaller team. But when your dad is one of the best drivers of all time, you get a little extra in hope you can emulate him. Kevin Magnussen is anything but a rookie though, and in his second stint at Haas is earning $5,470,000. That number was probably inflated by the fact he signed for 2022 at the absolute last minute. He did earn a podium finish on his debut in Formula 1 and since then has been as consistent a point scorer as his cars have allowed. The Haas car hasn't always allowed him to score points though. Our fourth team on this big money grid is Aston Martin. Despite their poor performances for much of 2022, the Aston Martin team is one of the richest on the grid, and they have salaries to match. There is the owner's son, Lance Stroll, who's taking home $9,042,000. Shockingly, Lance is now in his 7th season of Formula 1. I know, we had to triple check that as well. But in that time, he has secured 3 podiums and regular points, so would argue he is worth the money. On the other side of the garage though is 4-time World Drivers' Champion Sebastian Vettel, whose history of success lets him demand a salary of $13,618,000. The last team on the back half of the grid is Alfa Romeo, who have the second most polarized lineup on the grid after Mercedes. Zhou Guanyu is a Formula 1 rookie who came in on the back of a year winning F3 Asia and securing 3rd in F2. His lack of experience at the top level means he only takes home $911,000. On the other side, there is Valtteri Bottas, multiple race winner and 5 times Constructors' Champion. The only thing that could increase his $9,042,000 salary would be a World Drivers' Championship. Next up is one of the biggest spending teams on the grid, an absolute legend of the sport, McLaren. In Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, they have the most charismatic pairing on the grid, but also one of the most expensive. Daniel Ricciardo may be the more experienced and successful historically, but his decline in form means he earns $13,618,500 a year. That is almost $10 million less than his teammate Lando, whose yearly earning is $22,325,000. Not only is Lando signed up to one of the most lucrative contracts in Formula 1, it's also one of the longest. He's a lucky lad. The other team pushing to be a part of the Big Three is Alpine. The French squad, formerly known as Renault, currently employ 2-time Drivers' Champion Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, who could once have been called an up-and-coming driver, but after 6 seasons in the sport, we all know what he's about. With 0 Drivers' Championships to Alonso's 2, it isn't surprising that Esteban earns a little less, just $4,577,000. How does he survive? Like Vettel, Alonso's Drivers' Championships mean he can demand a little more, taking home $16,632,000. Will Aston Martin be paying him as much in 2023? Well, if he helps them move up the grid, then they definitely should be. Now into the Big Three. We start with Mercedes. When you have a 7-time Drivers' Champion on one side of the garage and a driver who only scored points in 5 races in 3 seasons before joining the team, there's always going to be disparity. Just how much of a difference there is might surprise you though. George Russell's $4,577,000 a year is pocket change to Lewis Hamilton, whose record-breaking success means he earns $44,650,000. Is Hamilton worth 10 times as much as George Russell? Of course he is. He's won 7 World Drivers' Championships, while George Russell is still waiting for his first win. Next up is Ferrari, who thanks to their prestige are actually able to get away with paying drivers far less than their competitors. Personally, I would prefer the money, but each to their own. Both drivers earn around $11 million a year, and until one of them manages more than a few race wins a season, that number won't be increasing. Finally, the current top dogs in Formula 1, Red Bull. Everyone knows that Max Verstappen is Red Bull's main man, but Sergio Perez's salary of $9,600,000 is still an incredible amount of money to take home each year. Max Verstappen's $44,650,000 is equaled only by Lewis Hamilton, and some reports claim it may be even more than that. Based on his performances this year, he may be worth even more than that as well. Is the lifetime of hard work, the risk of injury, and the constant workouts worth it? With the average F1 driver taking home $11,428,850 a year, I would definitely say so. Which driver's salary surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.